Good morning again. Power Sunday. I love Power Sundays. I love the power of power, the color of purple, so it's all good. For those of you who may not have been with us on the other Power Sundays, this year we decided to revisit the 12 powers, taught to us by the co-founders of Unity, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. And we're in our 5th month now, and we've covered faith and strength and wisdom and love, and now finally power. Before I get into this particular power, I'd just like to do a quick review for folks because not everyone's familiar with this system. In this series on the 12 powers, the premise is that Jesus and his disciples metaphysically represent the Christ in us. Jesus is the Christ in us metaphysically, and the disciples are the 12 powers. They represent the 12 powers. And it's through the spiritual activation of your 12 powers that you then unfold your true nature, which is your Christ nature, your Christ consciousness. So there's a reason we pay so much attention to this roadmap that was given to us by Unity's teachers, Charles and Myrtle, because this is a way for us to move our consciousness from what we call sense consciousness or human consciousness into a state of Christ consciousness, an elevated state of consciousness where you're expressing your God nature, your God self. Unity minister Charles Roth tells us in his book on the 12 powers, an analogy might be a huge company which has a president and 12 department heads, each of whom has a different type of work, but each of whom receives its instructions directly from the president of the company. So Jesus directly taught and trained the 12 disciples. And we too need to have the Christ within us train and instruct the 12 powers within our consciousness. And that's what we're trying to learn how to do together this year. I haven't taught the 12 powers class, but I am going to make another attempt before the end of the year where we can really have 12 concentrated weeks together. Not 12. 6 concentrated weeks together to go more deeply into the 12 powers. I just started our meditation practice class yesterday, and we had 12 people there, metaphysically, perfect number. And I'm really excited about it because we will be also doing some work with the 12 powers as far as our meditation practice. So today, like I said, the power we seek to activate is the power of power. And the good news is this is one of the easiest powers to activate. Isn't that good news? Because some of them it's like, where do I begin? Like, the power of wisdom or understanding or some of the others. But this is really easy to call for, to train, and to activate because this is done directly through the power of the spoken word. What Jen was talking about in her meditation. The physical location of your power of power is located in your larynx, in your throat. Okay? It's actually more specifically the root of the tongue. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, writes in his book, The 12 Powers of Man, through the vibrations of power in the throat, one can feel the power of unity with the higher self. Think about that. Through the vibrations of power in the throat, you can connect, you can feel that unity with your higher self. Okay. And he says more quickly than any other way. So in other ways, there's no faster way, folks, than to experience your higher self, your Christ nature, than through the power of the spoken word. But the catch is we have to activate the power of power in the correct manner, through the right use of the power of the spoken word. Because we talk a lot, don't we? We're just little chatterboxes. But you think every word we speak connects you, that power of unity with your God self? Yeah. Words have a unique way of vibrating with God's substance or primary energy, whatever you want to call it, in which we live and move and have our being. Words literally bring into manifestation conditions that are of their same character. Did you get that? So they bring into manifestation conditions of their same character. That's what words do. Now the musicians in the room are going to hopefully enjoy this. For an example, let us say that there are two pianos in a room. If you strike an A note on one of those pianos and then go and look within the other piano, what do you think you'll find? Vibrating. You'll find the A string vibrating in the other piano. This tells us that a vibration emanating from the first piano has an actual effect on the second piano, which is tuned to the same vibration. Now consider this with God. Let's consider God as the universal A vibration. And through the right use of the power of the spoken word, you and I can attune ourselves to that universal God vibration. That's how it works, folks. The question is, if we have this power to perfectly align ourselves with God, why don't we do it? Why do we still suffer? Gay Williamson, in her book 12 Powers in You, sheds some light on this question. She writes, have you ever considered carrying a weapon? Although we don't think of it as such, we all carry a kind of sword or a knife with us all the time. It's our tongue and our voice. You know, what she's saying here is that we've been given this God-given power of the spoken word, but most of us, we don't know how to use it. Have you ever heard of someone being referred to as having a sharp tongue? Yeah. Or have you ever been a recipient of a tongue lashing? You know, the sword of the tongue, the words I speak, can cut both ways, folks. The blade can help or it can hurt. The intention with which I use it is everything. The knife in the hands of a surgeon can cut away disease and repair organs. The knife in the hand of a criminal can kill. It's a similar knife, but the intention behind its use is everything. Lies, manipulations, half-truths, gossip, sarcasm, put-downs are destructive uses of the power of the spoken word. Words that are truthful, appreciative, thoughtful, kind, loving, and encouraging are constructive uses. You know, I love how Ellen ends her show every day. How many people watch Ellen?
Oh.
What is she saying?
Be kind to one another.
Thank you. Be kind to one another. As written in the book of Proverbs from the Old Testament, chapter 12, verse 18, rash words are like sword thrusts, but the tongue of the wise bring healing. So it's up to me, it's up to you how we choose to use the power of the spoken word. Now, one would think that knowing that the positive use of the power of power, or the power of the spoken word, will bring me into unity faster than anything else would be enough to get me to do it, right?
Yeah, right.
You would think. But obviously it isn't. I want to talk a little bit about the destructive effect first. The misuse of the power of the spoken word. And I want to focus on the destructive power it has on the speaker. Because we all know it has a destructive effect on the recipient, yes? Haven't we all been a recipient of the tongue lashing? When we've been cut to shreds? But what is it doing to the speaker? Have we thought about that? What's it doing to me when I cut somebody down with my words? Let's turn to the chapter on the power of the spoken word in the Unity Quest book. I know the Quest folks know this well. The Jeff Follers wrote this wonderful year-long study of the truth principles, and they have a whole chapter on the power of the spoken word. And they write the light from a laser is a quote-unquote coherent light. Rather than scattering in all directions, the light particles are in phase with each other. They're all going in the same direction, and this increases their power enormously. Light from such a coherent source is powerful enough to burn a hole through a piece of steel. Words are the lasers of human thought. Rather than scattering in all directions, thoughts, when they're expressed as words, are in phase with each other. You following this? They're all going in the same direction, and this increases their power beyond belief. You know that saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. There's some reason for that. People only knew. They go on, like a laser, but with even greater potential, our words can create or destroy. Something happens when we put our thoughts into sentences. When we speak the word, it sets up potent vibrations in our bodies. So here we are. This is what it does to the speaker. It sets up potent vibrations in our bodies. When we speak, every atom of our bodies respond to the sound of our voices. An obvious and very basic example of this is the fact that soothing words create the release of soothing chemicals in our bodies. Angry words, on the other hand, cause the release of harmful fight or flight chemicals. You know, I've talked to you about this before, right?
Yeah.
This is not new. We know that, what is it? We're made up of like 90% of water. And so they've done all these studies where if you speak loving words to a glass of water and then you take pictures of it, it's all in perfect divine harmony. If you speak angry words to it, it's the same thing that's going on in our bodies. It's a proven, measurable scientific fact. So what they're saying here in the quest of Jehovah's Holders is we can literally make ourselves sick by the misuse of the power of the spoken word. Robert Knapp writes in the book 12 Powers in You, when we talk in an unloving, controlling, or harsh manner about others, it can lead to disorders of our throat or our voice box, laryngitis, sore throats, nodules on the voice cords, and even cancer of the throat. It can be the direct result of the misuse of the power of the spoken word. The Jehovah's continue in the quest book, every word we speak is saturated with energy that will create or destroy. We're accountable for every idle word we speak, for it brings into manifestation after its kind. You know, I've always admired quiet people, and now I know why. My father was very quiet. You know, I'm the opposite. Blah, 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 blah. You know, I'm trying to get better at that. Jennifer quoted this in her meditation, but I'm going to say it again because it's so powerful. Jesus tells us in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 37, by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. By your words. The awesome power of the word can't be more dramatically or succinctly expressed than that. The prophet Jeremiah wrote, the burden of the Lord you shall mention no more, for the burden is in every man's own word. You know, Jeremiah is really laying it on the line here. He's saying don't blame God for your troubles. It's your own words that bring burdens upon you. Don't blame inflation, don't blame the politics, don't blame the government, don't blame big business. Don't blame anything but yourself. It is your own words that are bringing you trouble. Wake up. Do you believe this?
Yes.
Oh, good. You know that every word, whether positive or negative, is determined by the consciousness of the individual. My present state of consciousness will determine my use of the power of the spoken word. Think about that. What you say